All right, guys. We're starting back day after another 20-minute camera setup. Let's go.
All right, guys. Here with the back day from Monday, August 4th.
Oh.
What do we got on the agenda today? Um,
Oh.
we got just some cable rows, and then we're gonna hit the plate loaded rows. Then we got some vertical pulling, single arm lat pulls, and then back to the seated rows, cable rows.
That's insane. That was. Wait.
So I'm done with my diet,
Oh my
and with the cutting phase of my diet, right? So I've been slowly adding more carbs, not more carbs, just overall more calories back into my diet. Today's focus will probably just be mainly on diet. So I've been doing a lot more research, hardcore research, hammering the Ray Peat diet and the philosophy. This is just going to be a little rant here on about nutrition overall. I think most people, well, I also, first off, I think it's extremely unfortunate that in order to know in today's world, to know what you need to be eating and what not to be eating, I think you actually have to do an extreme amount of research. I think you're going to have to put in hundreds of hours total, not only of research, but of also of trial and error on your body, and to basically collect data. And it's really unfortunate that most of our food that we are eating today in the food supply system is has been very tainted, either tainted by some sort of chemicals that's going to kill you, or turn you gay like the frogs, or the nutrients are just gone. I can't remember where I saw the study, but it's something like almost 50 to 80% of all the nutrients in our food has gone away in like the past 100 years. And that's one of the reasons why we have to take so many more supplements now, is because the food is not as nutrient dense as it used to be. So trying to parcel through and have discernment of good nutrition science and data and studies is all, it seems like it's impossible today, especially with how many studies are backed by food corporations who own the food supply system that they're trying to tell you that you need to eat. So just trying to sift through what is the best
maybe a drop set. We'll see.
diet, what's the best food, the micronutrients, everything. It's seriously it's like a part-time job. And and it's also like an ongoing process too. You know, if you're, let's say you're in your 20s, what you're eating in your 20s is may not be sufficient for you in your mid to late 30s or even early 40s. Your nutrient profile is probably most likely going to change. Most likely because you're getting injured by either the chemicals that are in all of your foods that are unavoidable, or by just, I mean, ambient poisoning just from your clothes, the things that you come in contact with, water, I mean, just the list goes on and on. The one thing I'll have to say, starting off with nutrition and diet, is that one, I don't think you should be getting black pilled. Well, that's another rant, another topic for another day on just being black pilled. But I don't think when you look at how much you're being poisoned and or Yeah, we'll just keep calling it. Well, just poison. How much you're getting poison? It seems like it's a never-ending chain of like, oh, you can't eat this, you can't do that, you can't drink this, you can't do that, you can't have this. That's bad for you. That's bad for you. That's bad for you. It seems like when you start off, it'll seem like everything's bad for you. But I think the best approach for food is you got to do the best with what you have. And it seems that the best that we can do in our situation right now is some sort of harm reduction, reducing the most amount of poisoning and harm to your body as possible. And that's just going to be the best. It doesn't seem like there's going to ever be a panacea that's going to cure everything, or you're going to be able to eat and drink everything that's 100% pure or organic and doesn't have pesticides and chemicals that are killing you and your hormones. So it seems that the best result that we can aim for, that we can achieve, is just harm mitigation. Because if you go too far when you're trying to go 100%, like, this is healthy and this isn't doing this, and oh, this isn't poisoning me and you got to be doing this, it's not possible to live like that. I mean, your whole life would just be revolving around sourcing ingredients, sourcing foods, and paying probably a lot of money to. I mean, if you have the money, it's not a big deal. But for the most part, for most people, it's just not a viable option to try and eat 100% where there's nothing bad for you. So you're gonna have to pick and choose what you think to be the most harm reducing. So with that being said, I've been hammering the Ray Peat articles, been looking into the diets, and on top of that, I mean, there's so many different diets out there. There's the paleo, there's the keto, there's the Mediterranean. There's people who talk about vegetarian, vegan, which I hope nobody's doing. There's the carnivore. There's like, I've heard like dirty keto. I've heard dirty carnivore. I've heard the Ray Peat. There's the vertical diet. There's the Weston Price. I mean, there's so many different diet plans and fads that you can get on. It's really hard to even just decipher which one's the best. There was a quote. I don't know if it was a quote from Ray Peat himself, but in some of the articles or literature that Ray Peat was citing, and for some of the whatchamacallit, the impetus for his research and for looking into alternative diets is that it's kind of been a gigantic scam to say that one diet is the standard American diet. This stupid food pyramid is good for that's what everyone should be on. That's absolutely not the case, and has probably caused the most harm to the like society and citizens of America, just based on telling everyone this is what everyone should be eating. So when it comes to a diet, it should be more individualized than to be as rigorous to the structure of a diet. So when, for example, on this Ray Peat diet, he talks about probably lowering the quantity of either sweet potatoes or yellow potatoes, like Yukon potatoes, russet potatoes, and overall rice, like lower the starchy carbs. However, I'd have to say, I mean, if you tolerate rice very well, and you can eat 450 grams of rice a day, and it digests very well for you, and you have been doing this, and you do it for a long time, 3, 6 months, 9 months, and it's going well for you, I don't see a reason why to change it. If everything else seems to be going fine, one of the things that's kind of annoying about diet and nutrition for an overall wellness perspective is that it does take time, and not only that, you should really slowly add in the foods that you want, that you are on the fence about. So let's say you wanted to add some yellow potatoes. Realistically, you should only be doing it a couple times a week, instead of starting to hammer it every day. Or something like milk, like dairy. A lot of people on the Peat are talking about, whole milk or raw milk. Some people, I mean, depends on who you are, but for males, up to a half a gallon, maybe even more of whole milk. And I've even seen people say a whole gallon of raw milk a day. One, in America, that's going to be so expensive because getting raw, unpasteurized milk that's of good quality is so expensive to be drinking that every day. But two, you may not tolerate raw milk very well. You may have to drink 2% or even 1%, and not even whole milk. So it's one of those things where you really have to play around with the intake of the foods for a while. The biggest reason why I like the Peat diet the best is for the overall functioning of not only your hormones but your thyroid. That seems to me to be like the best aim, and because when you are using a diet, or when your aim of a diet is just strictly weight, that's insufficient. uh Great, so now your weight is low, but your hormones are not functioning properly, and you're tired and you're fatigued all the time. Like, great, you're at your desired weight, but you feel like crap all the time. So I don't think the desired weight should be the first thing. Obviously, it's a very important um, result that you are looking for. However, it seems like the proper function of your thyroid and your overall hormones seems to be uh, the best end goal, with weight being sorted out when that is the end goal. So that just seems to me like the best course of action at this point, and why I think I'm going to try adhering to Peat as much as possible. Also, one thing I have been hammering lately is the beef gelatin. Have been absolutely sleeping on the beef gelatin for a long time. The amount of nutrients that are in the beef gelatin, on top of the protein that you get from it, for the digestion and to offset the tryptophan and the cysteine that's supposedly in the polyunsaturated fatty acids, the PUFAs, that can just tank your hormones and be estrogenic and be horrible for your thyroid and your metabolism. So, been hammering a lot of the gelatin lately. I've been hammering more fruit. I've been hammering more orange juice. Um, I'm on the fence about red meat. It depends on who you ask about red meat. Some people have it in there, some people don't. Um, my personality is I want to try and find a diet where I can eat the same thing every day. I hate having to even think about meals and meal planning. Um, it takes too much time and effort and concentration away from things that actually need to be done in your day-to-day life. So choosing food is just extremely burdensome for me. So I'm trying to look for meals that I can just have every day. So some people say yes to red meat. Some people say no. There's the cysteine and the tryptophan that's supposed to be bad for you. That's what Peat claims. However, some people say they balance it out with the gelatin at the same time. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm gonna have to try that out. As for right now, I'm eating cod, about 8 ounces of cod, just baked with some light butter on the top, with no other. I mean, which is a squeeze of squeeze of lemon on top of both of them. for my biggest meal of the day, and I'm going to be eating about what is it? About 320 grams of Yukon Gold potatoes, which are just two medium size Yukon Gold potatoes. And that's like my biggest meal of the day, because also part of the philosophy of Peat is to not induce stress, to induce cortisol production, which is really bad for you. However, being a weightlifter, being a bodybuilder, I think that's kind of unavoidable. Like I said, it's just about as much as you can reduce the cortisol output. And in the morning, I'm having some Greek yogurt right now. However, I may change that up. Pete's not a big fan of it, but like I said, if you tolerate it well, I mean, it depends. Like when you go on all the forums and you look at this and you look at that, some people say yes, Greek yogurt. Some people say no, it's got to be whole fat. No fat. Because eating too much protein at one sitting can stress and have too much cortisol output, yada yada yada. Like I said, deciphering all of this information is a lot to process, and it's basically a part-time job, deciphering and discerning what you need to do. So right now, that's just what I'm doing right now with the Greek yogurt, blueberries, a lot of honey, a cup of blueberries with about 3 servings of honey, just about 3 tablespoons of honey, and I'll have that twice a day. I'm having a full liter of whole milk right now a day. I'm having 2 glasses of orange juice, which is 8 ounces, which is 16 ounces of orange juice a day. And I'm having about 2 pounds, 1 pound of pineapple and 1 pound of mangoes on top of that, with 4 whole eggs. I split that up in the morning, 2 eggs before I work out, 2 eggs after I work out. And that seems to be the diet right now. And then at nighttime, in the evening time, I'll have the Greek yogurt again with the blueberries. Half cup to a cup of blueberries. With the beef gelatin. I'm having beef gelatin with every meal. It's about 4. Well, I think it comes out to about 5 servings of the beef gelatin, which is like 65 grams of protein, somewhere around there. And I have 2 servings with the cod and the potatoes, and trying to put some butter on the potatoes and cook them really well, so that easier to digest. So we'll see how that goes. I counted everything out, and I'm around. I think I'm around like 2,750 to 2,900 calories, and I should be right at like 350 grams of carbs, with like 74 grams of fat, no more than 80 grams of fat. And the protein's like 185 to like over 200, I think, somewhere in there. I'm definitely getting at minimum 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So we'll see. I know there are some people, and I believe Peat himself is not a big fan of excess protein consumption. I think he's about moderate protein consumption. I think for a male, it's supposed to go up to like 120, like 150 max, and maybe even a little lower than that. So like I said, it's just a play, a test. It's a hypothesis. What is it? The thesis, hypothesis, synthesis. What is it? It's the thesis, antithesis, synthesis, something like that. Something of the Hegelian phenomenology, something like that. So that's what I'm doing pretty much with the diet right now. So I've really been increasing, which is really not that much different from what I was doing on like the prep. When I was really cutting, it was 4 rice cakes in the morning with probably 4 servings of, which is 4 tablespoons of honey with 1 cup of blueberries. And then I would have 2 whole eggs with 8 ounces of orange juice. And then I wouldn't eat again until like late lunch, and I would have, well, this is obviously very different, but from like a Ray Peat inspired
enough of that.
diet, I would have 5 pieces of tilapia with 450 grams of white rice, and that would be pretty much it for the day. So I was still eating a considerable amount of carbs. Most people who are in like some sort of bodybuilding cut or like prepping for a contest were not eating nearly as many carbohydrates as I was. I mean, that was well over 200 carbs a day. So yeah. But with extremely low fat. Dude, my computer's overheating. So that's where we are with the diet, and that's what I was going to talk to you a little about with nutrition. Like I said, man, it's really tough to decipher what is good for you, what's even like healthy to eat. When I say healthy, I mean foods that are the poison the least amount, because you may even think like, oh, I'm eating tilapia. It's great for me. Tilapia is good for you. I mean, but it's when you come to find out, when something like that is when you only get farm raised, and it's just got tons of pesticides, tons of chemicals, and it's wrapped in plastic, and there's so many things, and there's so many different ways and modalities that you could be getting poisoning, and small bits of poisoning from the pesticides, chemicals, yada yada yada, to the packaging. I mean, it's just a lot, man. So to decipher what's good and what's not is extremely difficult. And for you, the best, I think the general advice for any diet right now would be, one, it's got to be whole foods. You got to cut out the processed stuff,
Yes.
cut out all the processed food, and I think you got to start with whole foods, just based on that, and start with an elimination diet, and then go from there. Take things out, put things in. The one diet that I think is really interesting is the Paul Saladino guy, the carnivore MD, who's not just carnivore. I would say he's doing a version of the Ray Peat diet with only red meat, the eggs. I believe he has the whole milk and the whole, or the raw milk with the raw cheese and tons of fruit. I mean, you could make the argument that that's pretty much Ray Peat. It's and So something like that is not that crazy. And I think the Paul Saladino guys talked about Ray Peat in a couple of those podcasts. I try to look at them, but these podcasts are so long that it's like I can't watch a 4-hour podcast and just try and find the part where he talks about Ray Peat. I can't be doing that. It's too much time, man. But yeah, anyway, especially when we go into this off season, most of the time when a bodybuilder or someone who is training extremely hard in the off season puts on weight, a lot of the time you're going to become way more lethargic because you have the excess calories and you're putting on the weight, and I don't think that's productive. So that's just my little tip for this off season. That's my rant today on nutrition. So yeah, that's it. Here's the posing. Yep. See you guys tomorrow.